Hi, I'm Rudy. For 10 years, I worked 60-hour weeks, lived in a cramped studio apartment, and skipped vacations to save every penny for my dream, launching Pinnacle Tech Solutions. Today was our grand opening celebration, and I'd invited my entire family to see what their support had helped build. This is incredible, Rudy. My sister Eliza spun around the modern office space, her bracelets jangling. All those nights you spent explaining your business plan to me actually turned into something real. I laughed, straightening a frame on the wall. Thanks for listening to all those rambling practice pitches. I couldn't have refined my idea without you. My cousin Marcus sauntered over, champagne glass in hand, eyebrows raised. Gotta admit, I thought this was just another one of your pipe dreams. Remember that app you wanted to build in college? The social media platform for pet owners? Yeah, not my finest moment, I admitted, clapping him on the shoulder. But this, Marcus gestured around, Custom Enterprise Software Solutions is actually smart, boring, but smart. My Uncle Frank approached, his voice booming across the room as always. There's my nephew, the entrepreneur. Come here, big guy. He pulled me into a bear hug, then held me at arm's length. Your dad would have been so proud to see this. I swallowed hard. Thanks, Uncle Frank, that means a lot. Speaking of proud, my mother chimed in, joining our circle with my brother James trailing behind her. James just told me he's been helping you with some of the accounting setup. James cleared his throat, adjusting his perfectly pressed shirt. Just some basic bookkeeping assistance, Mom. Rudy needed someone who understands numbers. James has been amazing, I said, genuinely grateful. Having a CPA in the family is a huge advantage for a startup. Well, James replied with a tight smile, what's family for if not to help each other succeed? Later, as the party wound down, Eliza cornered me by the refreshments. Hey, did you actually give James access to the company accounts? She whispered, glancing around. I nodded. Yeah, he's handling all the financials until I can afford a full-time CFO. Why? Eliza bit her lip. It's probably nothing, but I overheard him talking to someone on the phone yesterday, something about moving funds and he'll never notice if we're careful. I thought he was talking about a client, but that doesn't sound like James, I said, but my stomach tightened. He's always been the responsible one. I know, and I could be wrong, but Eliza hesitated. You've poured everything into this company, Rudy. Just keep an eye on things, okay? As the last guest left, I sat alone in my new office, staring at the login page for the company bank account. James had always been the golden child. Straight-A student, prestigious accounting firm, perfect family. Why would he risk everything to steal from me? I typed in my password, heart pounding. The account balance loaded and I froze. There was a $50,000 transfer from just 3 hours ago, right in the middle of the party, to an account I didn't recognize. I need to understand exactly how our banking is set up, I said, leaning forward in my chair as Sarah, my newly hired office manager, pulled up files on her computer. From what I can tell, Sarah said, tucking her curly hair behind her ear, there are 2 people with full access to all accounts, you and your brother James. He set up the system last month. And there's no approval process for large transfers? I asked, my voice tighter than I intended. Sarah shook her head. No, either of you can move any amount without the other's signature. Not typical for a business setup, if you don't mind my saying. I trusted him, I muttered. He's my brother and a certified accountant. Want me to pull the transaction records for the past month? Sarah offered. Please. While Sarah worked, I called Eliza. Have you talked to James yet? She asked immediately. Not yet. I'm gathering information first. Did you notice anything else suspicious? Eliza sighed. Well, he's been talking about buying a vacation property in Colorado. Melissa showed me listings they're considering. Pretty expensive for someone who was complaining about private school tuition costs just a few months ago. My office door opened and Marcus walked in without knocking as usual. Hey, cuz, just wanted to see how day one of official business is. He stopped, reading my expression. What's wrong? You look like someone died. I hesitated, then decided to trust him. I think James has been stealing from the company. Marcus let out a low whistle. Golden Boy James? No way. There was a large transfer yesterday and apparently he's shopping for vacation homes. Marcus dropped into a chair. Dude, you need to talk to Uncle Frank about this. He won't stand for it. I need evidence first, I insisted. It could be a misunderstanding. Sarah returned with a printout. Mr. Daniels, there have been 6 transfers to the same external account in the past 3 weeks, totaling $145,000. Marcus's eyes widened. That's not a misunderstanding, that's embezzlement. I've also found some irregularities in the vendor payment records, Sarah continued. Several payments to a company called Apex Consulting, but I can't find any contracts or invoices from them in our system. I rubbed my temples. Can you find out who owns Apex Consulting? Already did, Sarah replied, handing me another printout. It was registered 6 weeks ago by Melissa Daniels. James's wife, I said flatly. The office door burst open again, and Uncle Frank marched in, his face flushed. Rudy! Just ran into James at the country club. He told me you're making some kind of accusations against him. What the hell is going on? I haven't accused him of anything yet, I said, standing, but there are financial irregularities I need to discuss with him. Well, he's pretty upset, Uncle Frank said. Says you've always been jealous of his success. You need to fix this before it tears the family apart. Jealous? I echoed in disbelief. Uncle Frank, look at these transfers. Look at this shell company owned by his wife. This isn't about jealousy. Frank scanned the papers, his expression darkening. There must be an explanation. I'm sure James will provide one when I talk to him, I said firmly. But this isn't going away. After Frank left, Marcus leaned forward. What's your plan? I'm meeting James for dinner tonight, I replied. I want to hear what he has to say for himself. You should record the conversation, Marcus suggested. In case this goes legal, I nodded slowly. I hope it doesn't come to that. Family or not, Sarah interjected quietly. That's a lot of money, Mr. Daniels. I know, I said, staring at the numbers that represented years of my sacrifice. Believe me, I know. The restaurant was James's choice, an upscale steakhouse where he knew the maitre d' by name. He was already seated when I arrived, nursing a scotch, his expression carefully neutral. Thanks for meeting me, I said, sliding into the booth. Of course, James replied smoothly, though I'm confused about why Uncle Frank thinks we're fighting. I placed my phone on the table, recording app running. I have some questions about the company finances. James's smile tightened. I figured. New business owners often get nervous about cash flow. Everything is in order, Rudy. Including the $145,000 transferred to an external account in the past 3 weeks. His expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened around his glass. Those are operational expenses. I've been handling vendor payments. To Apex Consulting? Owned by Melissa? A flicker of surprise crossed his face before he regained composure. Ah, I see the confusion. Melissa's company is providing marketing services. I meant to discuss it with you, but we've all been so busy with the launch. $145,000 worth of marketing services without contracts or invoices. I kept my voice level. James leaned forward, dropping his voice. Listen, Rudy, I think we need to be realistic here. This company exists because of my connections. My reputation got you the startup loan. My expertise is setting up your financial systems. And that justifies taking money without my knowledge? I'm not taking money, James snapped. I'm ensuring my compensation matches my contribution. You think working 60-hour weeks makes you special? I've been doing that for 15 years. So you deserve my money because you're jealous of my success? I asked, echoing Uncle Frank's words. This isn't success yet, James hissed. This is a precarious startup that could still fail spectacularly. I'm simply securing what I'm owed before that happens. You're embezzling, James. That's a crime. His composure cracked. Oh, please. This is business. Everyone skims a little off the top, not from their brother's life savings. You have no idea how the real world works, James said, his voice rising. You've been living in a fantasy, thinking you can just start a company and become some tech mogul. Without me, you'd still be pitching that ridiculous pet app. Our waiter approached, then hastily retreated as he sensed the tension. I believed in you, I said quietly. I trusted you with everything I've worked for. Something like guilt flickered in James's eyes, quickly replaced by defensiveness. Look, I can explain this to the family as a misunderstanding. Transfer the money back as a loan. No one needs to know. And why would you do that? Because we're family, he insisted. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, okay? I was under pressure with the new house, the kids' tuition. So you stole from me. I borrowed. James slammed his hand on the table, making the silverware jump. And I'm trying to make it right. What more do you want? I want you to admit what you did to everyone. Mom, Uncle Frank, Eliza. I want you to resign as company accountant. And I want every penny back by the end of the week. James's face darkened. Or what? Or I file a police report for embezzlement and fraud. He laughed bitterly. You wouldn't dare. It would destroy Mom. Try me, I said, meeting his gaze steadily. James stood abruptly. You ungrateful little... He caught himself, aware of nearby diners watching. Leaning down, he spoke through gritted teeth. You'll regret this. No one will believe you over me. I'll make sure of it. As he stormed out, I stopped the recording and took a deep breath. The confrontation had gone exactly as I'd expected. Denial, then justification, then threats. James had shown his true colors. My phone buzzed with a text from Eliza. How did it go? I typed back, he admitted everything and threatened me. Her response came quickly. What's next? I stared at the screen, weighing my options. Justice, I finally replied. The evidence is quite compelling, Mr. Daniels, Detective Rivera said, reviewing the documents spread across my office table. The bank transfers, the shell company, and especially the recorded confession. Will it be enough for charges? I asked. Absolutely, she nodded. Corporate fraud and embezzlement are serious offenses. The district attorney will likely pursue this case. Sarah entered with coffee for everyone. Mr. Daniels, your mother and uncle are here. I took a deep breath. Send them in. Mom entered first, her face pale and drawn. Uncle Frank followed, his usual confidence diminished. Rudy, what is this about the police being involved? Mom asked, her voice trembling. James said there's been a misunderstanding about the business. It's not a misunderstanding, I said gently. Please sit down. This is Detective Rivera. She's investigating financial crimes committed against my company. By James? Uncle Frank asked, his voice hollow. Yes, I confirmed. He transferred $145,000 to accounts he controls without authorization, using a fake company, registered in Melissa's name. There must be some explanation, Mom insisted, though uncertainty clouded her eyes. There is, I said, playing the recording of our restaurant conversation. As James's voice filled the room, admitting the theft, mocking my dreams, threatening me, Mom covered her mouth in shock. Uncle Frank's face hardened with each damning word. When it ended, silence hung heavy until Detective Rivera spoke. Mrs. Daniels, Mr. Daniels, I understand this is difficult. Family fraud cases are always complicated, but the evidence is clear. What happens now? Uncle Frank asked quietly. James will be arrested today, Rivera explained. The prosecution will likely offer a plea deal since the evidence is strong. Will he go to jail? Mom whispered. That depends on the plea negotiations, Rivera said. But financial crimes of this magnitude typically involve some incarceration, yes. After Detective Rivera left to execute the warrant, Mom turned to me with tears in her eyes. Could you have handled this privately, within the family? I tried, I said. He refused to take responsibility. He threatened to turn everyone against me. He stole from Rudy, Catherine, Uncle Frank said firmly. James made this choice, not Rudy. Eliza and Marcus arrived as we were talking, having been updated by text. How are you holding up? Eliza asked, squeezing my shoulder. Processing, I admitted. Marcus shook his head. I still can't believe James did this. Always acted so superior about his ethics. People aren't always who we think they are, Uncle Frank said heavily. 2 days later, we gathered at my mother's house. James had been arrested, made bail, and accepted a plea deal. Restitution of all stolen funds, 2 years in prison with possibility of parole after 8 months, and permanent revocation of his CPA license. He wanted to come apologize to you, Mom said as we sat in the living room. I told him to give you space. I appreciate that, I said. I'm not ready to hear apologies. Will you ever forgive him? She asked hesitantly. I considered the question carefully. I don't know. That's not something I can promise right now. What I do know is that I need to focus on rebuilding what his actions damaged, both the business and my trust. The company will recover, Sarah assured everyone. We've implemented proper financial controls, and the new accounting firm starts Monday. And your reputation in the business community will only be enhanced by how professionally you've handled this, Eliza added. Uncle Frank cleared his throat. Rudy, I owe you an apology for doubting you initially. You showed real leadership through this mess. Thanks, Uncle Frank. That means a lot. As conversations continued around me, I stepped onto the porch for some air. Marcus followed. You okay? He asked, leaning against the railing beside me. Getting there, I said. The company's solid. We landed 2 new clients yesterday. And the family? I gazed out at the neighborhood where we'd grown up. That'll take longer to rebuild, but we'll get there too. What about James? That's the hardest part, I admitted. He's my brother. I love him, but I don't trust him, and I don't know if I ever will again. That's fair, Marcus nodded. Trust has to be earned back. Exactly. And that starts with him serving his time and making amends, not just to me, but to everyone he lied to. As we rejoined the family inside, I realized something important. This painful chapter had revealed not just James's betrayal, but the strength of other bonds. Eliza's intuition, Marcus's loyalty, Uncle Frank's ultimate support, and even my mother's gradual acceptance of the truth. My company would survive and even thrive, and so would I, wiser, more cautious perhaps, but also more certain of my path forward and who I could truly count on along the way. Is this a story of revenge? Maybe not in the traditional sense, but it is a story of justice, accountability, and the courage to stand up for yourself, even when the person you're standing against is family.